Good afternoon. Another tutorial for the Photography for Beginners editing group. Today I want to show you how to make this adorable reflection effect in Photoshop. There are plugins you can purchase, but I am a big fan of learning how to master these things yourself. Nothing in Photoshop is any more complicated than a little bit of trial and error or a couple of button clickings. Once you've already bought Photoshop, I don't think you should have to pay for anything else after that. So I'm going to show you how I created this image with this reflection, and it really should only take us a couple of moments. So here is the image I chose to work with. I think I would have preferred to have had like a nice wood scene or something that would be believable as being by a lake, but I don't have any of those right now, and so I just grabbed this one really quickly. So I'm going to go up here to Image, Canvas Size. What I want to do is create room below the baby to have the reflection. Make sure that relative is checked and make sure that percent is checked. I don't want to affect the width of the image at all. I just want to make it twice as big. So I'm going to add 100% canvas. You also have to make sure that this little dot is at the top, and the arrow shows you it's going to add new canvas below that. Canvas extension color doesn't even matter because I'm going to fill it in with image. So I'm going to say OK, and as you can see, it doubled my canvas. So now what I'm going to do is grab my selection tool, and I'm going to select my baby, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and then Control T for my bounding box, or for my transform box. And because they're the same size, I don't have to worry about constraining proportions. You can even stretch this image out a little bit if you like. It doesn't really matter. Waves will distort. Reflections are distorted, so it's pretty forgiving at this point. So I will hit enter to accept that. And what I did in the other image is I like to try to adjust this a little bit because I find that usually reflections do look a little bit different from originals. Sometimes they're darker, sometimes they're brighter, sometimes they have more contrast. So I think what I did the last time was I just turned the brightness down a little bit. Just, you can see that makes a difference. And it does make it look a little bit more reflecty, if that's, no, that's not even a word. But anyway, I'm going to say okay on that. And I wanted to kind of have it fade out a little bit as it got to the bottom. So I do believe a layer mode, a gradient overlay will work here for that. And I'm going to put the blend mode to overlay. And the gradient style, we'll just do a neutral density. And basically it's just going to alter the image but then fade to nothing so that as we get closer to the shoreline, the image is less affected. And we can just adjust the scale on that. You see, and we can adjust the opacity so it's not such a strong effect. And it's just really giving it a little bit of interest. I'll say okay. We can change that at any time by going back into this. And we got that just by hitting this effects button at the bottom. Gradient overlay. Very cool little tool to have. So now that I've got my image here, my reflection, I just want to distort it to make it look like waves. And Photoshop has that function built right into it, which is another reason why I don't think anybody should be paying for any kind of water reflection plugins. So we go to Distort. This is under the Filter tab. So Filter, Distort, Wave. Now this menu, I can tell you the exact settings I've used, but these settings are going to be different depending on how many pixels are in your image. You know, how exaggerated this effect is going to be. Basically, you want to make sure that sign is clicked. Repeat edge pixels is fine. Wraparound just kind of wraps them around the image, and I didn't find that to be a great effect. But basically be on sign. You don't want to have a lot of vertical distortion. You just want horizontal back and forth distortion. So you see my vertical is at 1%. For this reflection, I went with a 41% on horizontal. Amplitude of 24, 25. And if you can see, I'm not sure if you can see, but the amplitude is just how far that distortion is going to reach. how long are these waves going to be? It can be anything from barely affecting your image to, wow, really, really dragging it out of proportion. Um, but for my example, I think I was around 25. And this is all personal preference, and it's all what you think looks good to you. We'll put it around 28. Number of generators is how many things are going to be making this wave. You can really go all out and you can go crazy. Um, Again, it's trial and error, and what works for one image isn't going to work for all of the images. As you can see, I put in a lot of generators, and it does give me sort of a choppy, messy look. Sure, it's convincing that that could be water reflections if I had a really choppy, maybe on a windy day, um, but it's just not soft and delicate enough for me. So I'm just going to undo that. Go back into Distort and Wave. And I'm just going to bring down the number of generators. I don't actually remember what the original setting was on, but we'll just go just something like that. And we allow that to render. And that looks pretty similar to what I had in my original image. It does add a little bit of vertical distortion, as you can see here, and I'll get rid of that in a moment. And just to kind of soften the harshness of this, I do like to go in and add just a little bit of a motion blur. And make sure that your angle is 0. What that means is that the motion is going to go straight back and forth on the image. And you can add any kind of distance that you want on that. As you can see with the preview button activated, I can see the effect that I'm going to get right away. Let's just see. Yeah, and basically what I'm looking for is to just have the sharp bits to be softened a little bit. So I think, just get my preview back. That's probably fine for now, just for the sample. Now, as I mentioned, I do have some vertical distortion in there that you can see, where you can see bits of the white canvas in the back showing up. If it's minor, you can probably leave it. I'll just nudge this up a couple of pixels, just so that if there's anything showing through, it's going to be the original image, not the white background. If you want a crisp, perfect line there, then all you really have to do is on your reflection, grab your rectangular marquee tool and go down just a pinch below where it starts. Select it all. Then go to Select Inverse and Delete, Deselect, and then just nudge that up. And as you can see now, it's a superbly sharp line. And it's really just personal preference. Now all that's left to do is to crop the image. And you can eyeball it to something that looks pleasing to you. You can crop it to fit a specific purpose that you've got in mind. It's just a matter of selecting what you want, going to Image and picking Crop, then deselecting. So that in a nutshell is how I was able to duplicate this fancy plugin that I've seen a lot of professional photographers using, that costs money but really delivers a product that looks, or an end product that looks an awful lot like this. And this is just a really quick walkthrough. Tools, the wave tool, and play with the settings. And depending on the image that you're starting with, like I said, the results can be different every time, but it's a fun thing to play with. And it's really fun to take a normal image and add a reflection and see what it does to it. It is very trendy right now. It's popular among baby and children's photography. So if you are into portraits, or looking into going into portraiture, it is always great because you will have moms who say to you, is there any way you can make it look like she's by a lake? And trust me, it is a common request. So definitely a good tutorial. Hopefully that this will help a lot of you. Hopefully the background noise going on behind me didn't disturb you too much. If I wait for her to go for a nap, I'll never get these tutorials made. So thank you very much for joining me. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day. If any of you use this tutorial to make an image, I'd love it if you could post it in the group and show me your results, because I'd really love to see what you guys do playing with this. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.